Hello, friends. It is actually 1 minute early, so that's my big kicktail win for June 4th. And I'll just chatter for just a minute while we get everybody logged in who was excited for our mid-year tune-up check-in. And I'm super excited for everybody who comes to hang out today. So let me make sure my chat block is open. And look at Trisha and Jill starting off with the way we know you're supposed to do if you're in realtor world on the internet. Say hello and tell us where you are because there's nothing better than connections, which might lead to happier clients because they got referred to somebody you trust, which is a better way to talk about referrals. And Jill, I totally cracked up. I'm going to call you out because your note was freaking hilarious in your RSVP where you said, I didn't collapse. So, high five. I think that's a win for a lot of people. And if you have not gotten in here yet, we're going to start off with a few wins because that's a wonderful way to get our conversation started. And then I'm going to dig into some of the what you're asking about for some guidance to get you through the rest of 2026. And so here comes Michigan and Nikki coming in from Western North Carolina. Oh, what's up, Indian Trail? My neighbor. Let's go. So anyway, glad y'all are here. When you clicked your RSVP, or if you did not click your RSVP and you just saw the live come up, hey, I'm Lee Brown. I'm in North Carolina. And every year at the end of the year or the beginning, kind of depending on schedule, I do that annual 1 hour live stream where we talk about real estate and business planning and life and stuff and anything in between. And a couple of years ago, we decided that we should be checking in with each other because in real estate, the noise gets really loud. You get really distracted by your business. And then your goals are either completely on point or you have fallen off the tracks completely. And I'm not willing to let anybody fall off the tracks, especially somebody like my good sister Heather over there in Winston-Salem. So, hello, hello, hello. So, I just want y'all to know that we have an hour. Well, now we have 59 minutes because I've rambled letting people come into the room. And y'all sent me I've got 14 pages worth of small type notes, questions, requests. So in an hour, I can't solve all your problems as much as I want to and as much as my heart loves you. I cannot fix simultaneously in an hour all of the couple of thousand requests that we got to solve leadership and speaking and coaching and personal lives and family issues and your business plan. And I wish I could, but I don't have any magic fairy dust. And I think if I had magic fairy dust, I'd be better in real estate, but here we are. And so I'll just point out some of y'all are going to get an answer you needed today. And you're going to say, Lee Brown, you were talking to me. And some of you are going to feel like, I need more. Don't worry. I'll share with you at the end a couple of the ways that I can help you some more after this. But I'll just tell you that I'm here for you. So if you have questions, I'm going to try to keep up with the chat. I do the best I can to watch the comments. But because I am distractible, that's why I asked y'all in advance. So we're going to start off with a couple of wins because everybody should cheer. And I better see some little emojis and cheers for each other here. I'm not calling out names because I never know who is comfortable having their name said out loud and who is not. I did call out Jill without her permission because that's how I roll, but she said she didn't collapse, even though her closings aren't where she wants them to be. They've been sporadic, and I think a lot of people identify with that. So when your business isn't performing like you want, not collapsing is a huge win. I had somebody here who wrote in, their big winning moment was saying no to a listing that was going to be a killer for her. It is hard to say no, but when you say no to something that you can already tell is going to be a complete downer, you're saying yes to good things. That's a huge win. I had somebody here who said, I prefer easy transactions, but I got a difficult one through. So that's a win. I love our honesty. It's so freaking amazing. And I had somebody over here that realized by tracking, hey, good job, friend, that every one of her contacts is a referral from Sphere or a listing or in the niche. And she's just excited that the long game is finally playing off. And then I'm going to tell y'all a win that came from a friend in, it's a Florida area code, but I don't know if they're in Florida because area codes don't mean anything anymore. So if you're a smart, savvy watcher and listener, you're writing this one down because I'm fixing to make sure my team sees this one. This person had as her kicktail win so far this year. Y'all ready? Listen to this. I've been doing Thursday morning open houses for an hour, then moving another location for another hour, same neighborhood or vicinity. In 2 hours, 2 open houses with more people than a Saturday or Sunday. I love that idea. And especially when the markets are a little stagnant, a fresh idea first of all, makes you feel like you're more productive, and second of all, makes your sellers very happy. So I am so excited about that. Patrick, look at you thinking everybody should have their name called out, not when they're asking for help, buddy. I mean, let them feel good for a second. All right. And then we have somebody else who attended the first Realtors Land Institute conference. That must be a land realtor. So that is a huge win. You should all go to that. Best conference I've been to in years. And I have one more person who's big win. I want everybody to hear this one. All right. This agent said, okay, Patrick, I'm gonna call her name out because it's a good one. This is Chantrell Davis, who said, I left my laptop in Georgia and unplugged for 5 consecutive days. So for all of the people, I'm just going to go ahead and use Chantel's comment as all of you who wrote in these long paragraphs. Some of y'all like to write paragraphs. I love you so much. If you wrote in there that you're scared to take vacation or you're worried about vacation or you want to travel, then you should know that if Chantrell could do it and still be here for Kicktail, then you can too, because it's in our heads that we cannot be unplugged at all. That's the first thing I want to tell you as you look at setting up the rest of 2026 as a win. You're the one who says you can't take any time off. You're the only one that says that. And then you simultaneously tell me that you're exhausted, but you go to the internet and you say, I'm available 24/7 for your buying and selling needs. When you tell people you're always available and then you're always available and then you're exhausted and you feel like you can't breathe, that's on you. So you have to set guardrails. And so when you're in real estate, the guardrails have to be flexible. We don't put up big steel guardrails. We put up plastic ones that you could maybe run into with your car and your car won't be destroyed unless you're in a smart car or something. But what I want you to know is the guardrails could look like this. Hey, client, I'm going to be unavailable, but I've talked to Agent Mary over here, and Mary's got your file. So if something goes haywire, Mary's got you. Your clients will all say, that's fine. Or you could be the one that chooses to look at your phone on vacation, but that is not a vacation. What is wrong with us as a people? And I say this because I was in Florida 2 weeks ago, and I had my 2 transactions that are in contract right now. Both went all to craziness. And I felt like I had to step in, and I did this time. I didn't want to. Usually I unplug. So at least you could be a usually unplugger. And then as far as the rest of your life, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this because it's in several of y'all's comments here. She said, oh, I'm just not as organized as I should be because, hey, I'm a realtor. Her comment was, I know better than to get burnt out, but I'm getting burned out. Okay. I heard a wonderful piece of advice. I don't know if y'all know Jorge Guerra in South Florida. He was also known as George, but I met him in Spain, so he's Jorge to me. So is what it is. He runs a wildly successful independent brokerage. And we were on a Zoom call for leadership with the Residential Real Estate Council, aka CRS designation. And we were talking a little bit about burnout, and either he said it or Neil Oates from Fort Lauderdale said it. So one of them said it. Look at me. I'm remembering their names long enough to give credit because this was last week. And what they said was, you won't know you're burned out until you get there. So you have to burn out to know what burnout is. If you're the person who's exhausted, but you don't know if you're burned out, here's how you know. Your phone rings and you're like, I can't answer it. Don't care if it's a $45 million cash buyer. Nope. That's burnout. Burnout keeps you from operating. And in fact, I've exhausted myself. And I had a seller tell me 2 weeks ago that he was going in a different direction because he was, and I didn't fight for him because I didn't care. Burnout is not caring more than it is anything else. And frankly, when I feel like that, he's better off with somebody else. So the good news is he ran away from me. And the good news for me is I can recognize where I am so I can learn how to breathe again. That's what you'll find with time management. So first thing I will give you as an assignment, and I've told y'all this before in your other kicktails, y'all don't seem to listen to me, but you keep coming back and I love you for that. Set a day off. And I don't care if it's Tuesday or Saturday. I mean, Sunday is the Lord's day. So if you're going to actually take a rest, do it when he said to, but who am I to pick any day and guard it. And here's what that looks like. Put on your calendar a big block. Blocked. That's what it says. It does not say booked because booked tells somebody that you're available. Language here, friends, language. You're not booked, you're blocked. Blocked means no, I can't even with you people. But to do that, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, you better have somebody to take your texts and take your phone calls and balance for you because we are up against deadlines in real estate and people do need your help. So You can do this. And that has to do with hiring, which, funny enough, is one of your other big requests over here. So this person says, I'm overstimulated in my business. I love that phrase, by the way. I thought that was really smart. And then we have the person who says, I've been a solo agent with some help, but mostly solo. You know what that means? That means this person is a control freak. And that's why I'm not calling her name out, Patrick. And so she's a control freak and says, my systems are in my head because I know what to do. And then it says, how do I create the process for others to do some of the work? All right. So, one of the keys to unplugging a little bit and avoiding burnout is to have help. And the way that you get help is not the way most realtors do. The way that realtors do it is once you have enough closings and enough transactions in the pipeline, you are here. And so you're like, I need somebody, and you post on Facebook, I need somebody, and somebody raises their hand. You were friends with them in high school, and you're like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You come work for me. And they come into your office and you are here. And so they ask you, well, what do you want me to do? And you're like, this, just stuff. And you start throwing things at people. And that is not a great way to start off a working relationship. And I've learned this the hard way. So this is Lee Brown's Mistakes talking to you, my internet and real life friends. What you need to know about hiring is that you have to know what they are doing before they come in the door so that they can be successful. This is not about you. When you hire help, whether it's for 1 hour a week or 40 hours a week, you need that person to be successful, because if they're successful, they make you better. This is not about you anymore. All right. Hard thing in real estate where we're all told all the time that we are the best of the best and the best and the brightest, and we're great and we're the best agent in the market, and they only picked us because we're the best. So when you start getting so focused on self, that makes it hard to hire. So what you have to say is, okay, where am I dropping the ball? Where am I failing? Well, for me, I don't do a great job of prospecting right now. This is me being honest with y'all, because my phone rings enough. But you know what happens when you don't prospect while your phone's ringing? Eventually your phone stops ringing. So for all of you who asked, do I need to pay for lead services? No. And for all of you who said, what's the most reliable, no nonsense lead service? You really want me to have to tell you? Do I have to? Am I gonna say it out loud for the 40 millionth time on the internet? In fact, I made a video last week of my old hair versus my new hair, and I'm saying the same thing. I think we're gonna have to make one of those of me saying to y'all, call people on your freaking telephone. This is not hard. Why? Why are we not doing it? Why? Why? For everybody in here spending thousands of dollars on lead sources, in your phone, you have a contact manager. You know what's in it? People. People you probably haven't called in a while. And you might even look at the name and say, not really sure who that is or how they got into my phone. So when you see that person, what should you do? You're in real estate, you call them. And so for the person who made their little comment here, what can I do? I can't read without my glasses, but I'm vain. That's why I keep taking them off. Sue me. So she said, I need to know what to do to get business, but I refuse to make phone calls, or excuse me, cold calls. Okay. So first of all, these are not cold. These are warm calls because they're in your phone. Even if you don't know them, they knew you and you saved them at some point. So maybe you have middle-aged brain, whatever, but you have to talk to people. You have to make those outbound calls. So for you to make the outbound calls, what's in the way of you doing that? Why am I not prospecting? Well, it's because I'm managing details. What details am I managing that somebody else can manage? Well, here's an example. Okay. When I get a call that says, hey, come list me, what could happen after I get the come list me call? Well, every good agent starts doing research. You pull the old MLS and the tax records and the flood maps and the septic maps if it's on septic, and you start pulling, 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 pulling. That's not hard to do. It needs to happen. So your trusted person could absolutely do your pre-listing packet, and then you still pull the comps and the numbers because you're the expert in the marketplace, but they could give you everything you need. What does that save you? 10, 15, 30 minutes? Well, if you're doing one listing appointment a week, if you're busy, or two a month, that time still adds up. So let's just say you do one listing appointment every other week because you're in a medium business phase of your life. That's an hour a month. That's 12 hours. What would you do with 12 free hours? Would some of y'all then take a day off? If you said, I haven't had a day off in 3 years, would you take one day off? Well, there's your one day. That's what you hear me? So your control freak has to let go because there's no reason they can't click on your websites and do it. Now, for your excuse, which is going to be, well, the time it takes me to tell her how to do it, I could have done it myself. That is 100% true. However, that's called training. And so when you do it with her one time, hopefully she grabs it the first time, but if not, maybe she'll grab it the second time, but now you don't have to train her again. So yes, you invest time in somebody else being what? Successful. That's good hiring. You're helping somebody else get successful, and you can do it. By the way, you can hire somebody for 2 hours a day or 4 hours a week or 40 hours a week. You get to design it. Now, for those of y'all that are thinking, Kaylee Brown, I need to know what else to give them. Okay, so here I will lead you to the water. Every day, get a piece of paper and write down what you do all day long. And it's going to be painful. You do it for 7 days like a food diary. Sit down and write down, what did you do today? Did you take out a sign? Did you do a lockbox? Did you do a listing presentation? Did you preview for a buyer? Did you do searches in MLS? Did you close something out in MLS? Did you update your database? Every single little thing that you did. And at the end of 7 days, look at that list and put a big fat circle around the things that you could give away right now. Signs, lock boxes, listing prep, easy things to give away so that somebody else can start freeing up a little bit of time. This is what it's about. You are buying time back when you hire somebody. So if you're exhausted, buy your time back. And trust me, I was in the immortal words of Sandra Nickel from Montgomery, Alabama. If you're asking when to hire somebody, you're already late. Okay. So let me check over here. Okay. Anything I had to answer here? Okay. So all right. Call reluctance is because you think they're too busy. Okay. So, Mary, I'm going to go ahead and undo that for you right now because you're not the only one that mentioned that. About 6 different people are like, but what if they don't want to talk to me and I don't know what to say? All right. Here's what happens when you call somebody, their phone wakes up and it says name and phone number. Yours won't say possible spam, hopefully, because people shouldn't be rude enough to make you spam. And then it says decline or accept. And if they don't wanna talk to you, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna hit decline and send you to voicemail. That's what's gonna happen. That's why you shouldn't have call reluctance because they might have the reluctance to accept, and you don't have to deal with that. But if they answer, it's because they were willing to take your call. And that's who all of y'all wanna talk to is somebody willing to talk to you. So they answer, and it's, "Hello," and you say, "Well, hey, this is Mary Corcoran. What you doing?" And they say, "Mary, why are you calling me? What are you doing?" And you will say, "Well, I was just thinking about you," because you were, because you saw their name in your phone, and you called them. You were thinking about them. And then you could say, "I just wanna see if you had any questions about anything real estate." You don't have to ask them, "Do you know anybody that needs to buy or sell?" You don't have to be gross. Just ask them if they have any questions about anything about real estate. They might have read headlines. They might have just seen an open house down the street. They might wanna know what color is popular now that agreeable gray is out. So just be willing to answer questions. They might say, "I don't have questions about anything real estate." You're like, "All right, well, how's your family?" Toss something in there. If they're willing to talk to you, keep talking. Y'all are good at this. Why do you think you're not good at this? You don't need magic. You just need to do the work. Oh, okay. So anyway, that was I went down that hole right too quickly. All right. Was there something else in the commentaries? Okay, no. All right. So let me go back to what came into these remarks here. And by the way, if you're the person who needs more structure in your busy little life and you just are tired of doing things about yourself, I do have a coaching program, and this is a group coaching thing. So Catalyst, it's coming up soon, and it starts July 10th. So grab that QR code in the next minute, and I'm gonna take it back down because this is for those of y'all that won't support after this is over. Okay, so speaking of not knowing what to say, I had a person who responded with, I have buyers I send searches to, and I've been sending them for a while. I reach out, I text, email, and call, they never respond. Is there anything I can do to get them off the fence? All right, people only respond when they need you. So they might not need you. Could be that you send them a fun meme. Now, stay out of all the politics, religion, and all that stuff if you don't have any idea who they are. There is plenty of funny stuff you could send people. I have a whole stockpile of them that are delightful, and I will send it out sometimes for fun. But I want you to remember something else about phones. In your phone, have y'all noticed how Apple messed with your phones? If you are Droid people, that's precious. I don't know how to talk to you. But in Apple world, I'm gonna cover up all my people talking to me here. You have this little button up in the corner now where some of your messages are going to unknown sender, to transactions, and to promotions. So your messages might be going to one of their other folders and they might not be super iPhone savvy. So the next time you call them, you might leave the voicemail that says, "Hey, I sent you a really couple of good ideas, but it might be in your unknown senders folder because you and I haven't talked a lot. If you need anything, call me." So then you've alerted them that you're sending them helpful information, but you're not putting any pressure on them. It's, "Hey, just so you know." That can be a good way to get somebody to respond. The other pretty much foolproof way to get them to respond is to say, if you would like me to stop pestering you, please just tell me and I will. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume that you'll respond to me one day. That's kind of an ultimatum. It says, I'm going to keep reaching out to you until you tell me to stop. And I have had a lot of response back from that. I get people, they're like, oh, yeah, we appreciate it, but we don't need anything right now. Blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. I'll let you be. May I touch base in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. And then you can stick them on your calendar. So you sometimes you just got to probe people by being willing to go away. And we're pesty sometimes. So I will also add to this, to the person who said, what do you provide to your leads other than just asking, are they ready to move forward? Okay, I never ask anybody if they're ready to move forward, friend. I just don't because it feels too gross and icky for me. And I'm an introvert by nature, so I can't do the gross and icky thing. But I will say this, when I'm talking to people, if I want to talk to them about interesting things, what's interesting in your community right now? Like, is there anything happening? I can think of something really big that's happening. Does anybody else know what's really big that's happening on July 4th? America 250. This is our big birthday year. So you could always reach out and say, hey, if you didn't have plans on July the 4th, did you know that we are going to be presenting in the Harrisburg parade? We've been doing that I'm the longest running entrant in the Harrisburg, North Carolina parade. It's a pretty big distinction. And this year we're doing a really big float. So what are we telling people as we reach out to them? We've got a really big float coming. Can't wait to see you at the parade. We'll see our giveaways. Make sure you come out. People love knowing what to do. Now, if I were in Mount Pleasant, North Carolina, which is the town right next to me, their parade is the week before July the 4th. That's a good reason to reach out. So wouldn't you reach out to your leads and tell them, how do they get involved in your community? Maybe if you're at the coast, you have the little boat regatta things, or you might have a golf cart parade if you're in a 55 plus neighborhood. Talk to them about the things they can be involved in. Sometimes we get so buried in real estate that we forget one of the best parts of being the realtor is that you know things. You know about the new restaurant, the new boutique, you know where the parades and the festivals are. You know things. You might even have let's see, we've had a lot of rain here lately after about 6 weeks of no rain. So everybody's yard is a hot mess right now. So a lot of my people are saying, hey, I normally do my own grass, but I need some help right now because we have a weird bunch of weeds coming up. So I've got a landscaper, but when my clients ask me that, you know what I should be doing? Oh, yeah, that's what you give to your leads. It's, hey, one of the perks of using Lee Brown as your realtor is you get access to Lee Brown's list. And it's way better than Angie's list because we kick people off of it very frequently when they start to suck. And that's a really good thing to tell your lead people, that your list is made up of people who are very good and responsive, and you try to get rid of the ones that suck. Okay, so then we had another comment here with some needs to get through the rest of the year. And I'm going to have to talk very directly to this person without naming a name. So some of y'all might take this personally and you might not, but whatever. So this one says convincing buyers are not going to get a free ride after years of not paying buyer fees. Buyers never had a free ride. Okay, that was on us, our profession. It was on our marketing that we didn't explain it really well. For those of y'all that did explain it well, you do not need to get in the comments and tell me how great you are and how everybody else sucked, because that's really not productive. Okay. But we know that we got a little lazy about it because it was baked in. And you might have told them kind of in passing when they were doing their agency work, hey, here's how the compensation works. The seller's paying mine. Don't worry about it. And you didn't go into great depth. But now we have to go into depth because your buyers have read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. They've read things. So if you're the realtor who never got yourself up to speed on the changes in your statutes in your state or on the lawsuits that the National Association of Realtors lost, you better be up to speed because your clients are. So the only way that I explain this to buyers is that one of my jobs after you select me is to see if I can get the other side to cover that for you. It'll still be baked into the price though. So just so you know, they might have gone with price X, but if they are going to have to include my compensation, it might be X plus. We don't know what they're going to do until we ask. My job is to get that information for you. If they say, I will not pay you, no, no way, lady, the buyers can buy it without you, you will have to compensate me. And so for you to have professional representation and for me acting as your fiduciary, I do deserve compensation. And we're going to have that conversation. But I will tell you this, and this is in response to the broker who's asking about the number of agents who are trying to keep buyers away from houses that don't pay because they're afraid of this conversation. Y'all, this is your opportunity to set yourselves apart. And so I will tell them, look, if they don't want to pay me, you get to pay me, but most of them will because I'm really good at having that conversation. And with my sellers, what I tell them is, you may not want to pay the buyer's agent. However, if the buyer doesn't have the money or the agent doesn't know how to ask for it, the last thing we want is for the buyer to go away because they don't have the extra cash to pay their agent. And the agent, even if they're a bad agent, is probably their best pathway forward to homeownership. Because even a bad agent is better than no agent at all. I am convinced. And before y'all tell me I'm wrong, you're wrong. I'm right. So, what I want them to know is that on the seller side, the money that we plan for buyer agent compensation is a marketing fee. That is letting us market to the marketplace. Yes, the seller is open to this conversation. Now, how much are they open to depends on the offer because I don't believe that anything is set in stone in real estate right now, but I want my sellers to be prepared to open their marketplace up. That's a marketing fee more than it is a buyer agent fee. And then on the buyer side, what I tell them is I will do everything I can to protect your out of pocket dollars. But for me to do that, you have to compensate me. That's not convincing, that's explaining. Because I think too often in real estate, we're trying to talk our way through things instead of being very direct and smart with our education. Now, in regard to this person who made the comment that there are agents that don't want to show houses where they don't get paid what they think they deserve to get paid, you need to turn them in. That's a violation of the code of ethics. And in North Carolina, that's a violation of state law. So if somebody is doing that and you can get it proved at all, turn them in because the buyer's ability to get the property shouldn't hinge on the agent's ability to get paid. But that's why we have these buyer agent agreements anyway. Nobody expects a free ride. That's a great point, Jill. And it's our expectation of a free ride that has caused people to get a little bit wonky wonky. Okay, now we have another question that says, how do I stay motivated when I don't have much business? Okay, I can't motivate you. Only you can motivate you. If you ever wondered why you watched a TED talk and you're like, yeah, you went to church and you're like, oh, preach, buddy, preach. Or you went to a real estate conference and you heard Lee Brown's keynote next to us now and you loved it so freaking much. In fact, you loved it so much, you wanted to buy the book. Seriously, I did the Kindle, the Audible version, so y'all could just listen to me tell my book. It's very important. But what I will tell you is that motivation from outside doesn't last. None of it lasts. Even how good y'all might feel after hanging out on the internet with me for a little bit, it doesn't last. Motivation has to come from here. You have to be in real estate to win it. You have to be in church for the right reasons. You have to be in your family dinners with the phone down, paying attention to people. You got to be in it. Motivation comes when you're doing what you're supposed to do. It comes from following the calling that was laid out for you. And I will tell you, if you're a believer, I'm totally convinced that real estate is its own special calling. Now, if you're not a believer, I can introduce you. But in the meantime, you should know that it's a very special profession because we are not commoditized. We are not selling a product. We are selling what the product does for people's lives. Do y'all get that? You are not selling a house. You are selling what the house does for people financially. Whether it's going to be that 30 years from now it's paid off and they can use the equity to pay for somebody's wedding or college or medical bills, or you're selling the investment that they can see and feel and touch, and it's different than Wall Street assets. You're selling what it does. You're selling the place where the babies get on and off that big yellow school bus and the place where the mama came home after she broke her hip so she didn't have to go to that sketchy little rehab hospital. That's what you're selling. That's where your motivation should come from, is from the idea that in real estate, we help somebody else get what they want. We are a very unique profession in this way. The only way you get compensated is when somebody else gets what they want. You get that? And so for you to feel motivated, and I know some of y'all are probably like, oh, I forgot about this. You do. You forget about it because in the day to day of real estate, you get buried in the details and in the text here and the email here and the inspector and the repair request and the closing and the stuff. It's nonstop. And then you don't have a full pipeline because you took your eye off the ball, and that happens. So how do you get re-woken back up? Because you believe in the passion, you know you're where you're supposed to be. Number one tip I give to any agent, old, young, in between. You ready? Write this down and then go do it. Preview. Preview listings. And I don't care if you've been in the business longer than me and sold more houses than me. If we're going to have that kind of a competition, I will just let you in because I don't think that's a game worth playing. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the game because I've sold the same house 5 times. There's this one house, they keep calling me, and it's never I always represented the seller, so these people that call me thought I sold it to them, and I didn't, but that's fine. I don't distract them. I just go on and sell it again, but the house is different every single time. You know why? Had different people in it every time. It's got different memories, different upgrades, different things have happened in and around this house. The neighborhood has changed. The school districts have changed. Things change. And so when you realize that you're part of the change in real estate, previewing keeps you up and on top of the dirt, not buried in it, up above the dirt. And previewing 3 houses every day changes the game, or 3 a week if you're super busy. Maybe you've got a full pipeline and you don't wanna lose that. Keep previewing. I'm gonna go preview as soon as I finish this kicktail because I need to go see something for a buyer who's not in the area. Sometimes you're previewing for a particular client, and sometimes you're previewing because you want that particular client. So if you work a specific geographic area, have you seen everything on the market in that area? And by the way, I'm not talking little sneaky fake showings. I'm talking you call the showing desk or the listing agent and say, "Hey, Lee Brown with One Community here. Hey, what's up? Hey, I want to preview your listing. Is that all right?" You know what they'll say right now because our markets are in a bit of a status right now? They'll say, "Yes, Lord, please, please show this house." I got you, boo. I'll come show it. And then you're going to show up just like a regular realtor. You're going to be dressed up and you're going to have your face on and your hair fixed and you'll have your reading glasses and you'll have your little folder with your papers and you will go up. You will work the lockbox like you know what you're doing. And then you will take your shoes off and you will say, "Hello, real estate." And you will make your announcement just like you have 14 buyers with you. And you will go room by room, probably in about 12 minutes, because you can scan a house really quickly when you've been in real estate. And now you've added a whole house to your knowledge base. Danny Kennedy, if y'all remember her, she was a trainer back in the, I guess, 70s and 80s. And I have her books in my office. She's amazing. She called it your quick speak inventory. So if you're in an area where you've seen the inventory, you can talk about it faster. Now, before y'all start to tell me, "Well, AI can do that." I can't do it. You know what they can't do? AI has no sniffer. You could use your sniff test. There is no smell-o-vision on the internet yet. And by the way, y'all know how often the photos have lied to you and lied to your buyers because you've shown a house and you walked in and your buyers are like, "Hmm, this looked a whole lot better online." You're like, "I know, right?" We're paid to do that. We're paid to make it look better online than it does in person to suck you in. And that's what you want to go see. So if you want motivation, go do real estate. The phone starts ringing after that. It's kind of a crazy thing. And y'all know that I'm right. And somebody can chime in the chat. You know how it feels to preview. You feel more productive. Okie doke. Then I have the person who's feeling overwhelmed because they are managing an endless stream of questions, problems, and complaints. That's every transaction right now, right? Because I think we're seeing more fall throughs than we've seen in a while. And this person has the heart wanting to be responsive and over deliver. So I feel you because I'm that way too. But it can be overwhelming. It is because I have this personal beef with a red bubble on my phone. And so when I see a red bubble, I panic. I need to stop that because it's very unhealthy. But here's the secret magic to managing all of that. You're looking for things that can be replicated. So I want you to keep a spreadsheet. It could be Google Sheets or Excel, but keep it open on your computer at all times. Or if you're going to use AI, use something like Claude. I do like that. I know I told y'all that AI is of the devil, and it is, but I'm indwelt by the Holy Spirit, so the devil can't get in here. He can just aggravate me. And so I just use Plaud, Plaud. It's this little device, and I can turn it on, and it's having a voice recorder, but instead of just transcribing, it'll make a checklist out of what I say. So I freaking love it when I am at a listing so I can remember everything I saw in the house. But when I'm thinking about how I can make this thing even more useful because it can create checklists, if you're on the phone with this buyer and they're asking this question and this one and this one, and you're thinking, "Dude, I've responded to your text 4 times. It's in the thread," but you can't say that because that would be ugly. And so instead, you're passive aggressive. You're like, "It's fine. I'll just answer it again. No problem." Your Plaud can listen to that and say, "Okay, they asked this question about when does our due diligence period in North Carolina, due diligence, it's an investigation period." So they're asking questions about due diligence. They're asking, how do they get their earnest money back? They're asking, can they ask for repairs? Can we go see it and measure for curtains? things that they ask that you're answering. Keep a running list. And then after just a little bit, you'll start to notice a pattern. They're asking the same things over and over. You know what you can do? So this little phone that I showed y'all has a telephone in it and contacts. You can click camera and you can click video. You know what you can do next? Make it in selfie mode so you look super cute and put a filter on if you want to. No judgment from this vain woman. And then you're going to make a video answering the question. And it might be, hey, you had a question about when the due diligence money has to be delivered. Well, we're going to deliver that right away and it goes to the seller. So I want you to go ahead and get that handled and send it over. Whatever you're answering, keep it kind of generic, make a little video, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. And then you can keep those in your phone. Did y'all even know that there's this thing in your photo albums that has folders? You could save those little responses in here, and then you can fire it back off and say, hey, here's a quick answer on this. Look for the common threads. Now, it doesn't solve everything because every transaction has its personal issues and you've got the hiccups here and there. There's a whole bunch that we repeat over and over and over. For example, I'll give you an example. One of my listings is under contract, and the buyer's agent has made a repair request. My sellers, when I talk to them, I told them you got 3 things you can do, right? You can say yes, and they can be happy. They can be happy. Woohoo! You could say no, and they can walk, and we can start over, or they might be fine with our no. Don't know till we try it, or we can counter. Those are our 3 options. See, and I don't even have to address this specific address or this specific seller, but I can fire that off and say, in your email is the repair request. Here's your 3 options. Call me if you want to talk through it. And now what I've done is I've taken a 45-minute conversation and made it 15. Or if they're a super D personality, they might just be like, you know what? If there's a risk they could walk, we'll just suck it up. I don't even want to counter. All right, cool. Here we go. Because explaining and educating can be replicated. All right. You with me on that? Okay. Let's see. Oh, hi, Mark. You're over there. What do I tell the realtor when they ask about feedback from me seeing it? Oh, that's easy. I tell them, thank you for letting me come look at it. I am not here to stage somebody else's house. I would not dare price somebody else's house, but I can absolutely say, thank you for letting me in. And if I see something I want them to know about, I will tell them. Things like, well, one of the things that drives me nuts, now I'm from North Carolina, so y'all know that I am not like big on chi and feng shui, but I've learned from my California people because y'all are so delightful at educating us. And I now know that the good chi leaves the house through water. So I close all my toilet lids. And so if I've previewed the house and they had 4 bathrooms and all the toilet lids are up, I will tell her, Christine, I will say, or Christy, I will say, y'all should close the toilet lids because the good chi leaves the house through the water. They might not know that, but I've heard it's a real thing. Now, I don't think it's Christian. Jesus probably gonna get mad at me for even acknowledging that there's such a thing coming out of California, but I'm just gonna tell them that I appreciate it, and I locked the doors back. And if I see something I think that they need to be aware of, there was something I was in. Oh, the gas was it smelled like gas. Well, I called them and I said, "Hey, I think I smell natural gas, but you know, it could be me. I have a very sensitive nose. You might want to get that looked at." Or I can tell them oh, I know what it was. There was another one I previously did have a gas house, and she argued with me, and I said, "How about don't argue? Just call Piedmont Natural Gas and let them look at it." Hey, but I went to this other house, and the key did not work in the front door, and so I went around to the back and I used it. And I realized if I put it just back in the lockbox, because I've locked it back from the inside and I had to go through all this to lock the house, the next buyer couldn't get in. And so I left the deadbolt undone because the bottom lock worked. And I called the agent and I said, hey, I just previewed your house and the top lock was sticking. And so I didn't lock it back. But tell your sellers to get that fixed right quick before the next showing. But everything's locked up. I just wanted you to know. And so she really appreciated it. That's the only feedback I'm giving, Christy. That's not my job. But my job is to show up and say thank you. And speaking of feedback, whether I have a buyer or not, and y'all can argue with me if you want to, but I'm right. Whenever you show a listing, I really, really wish you would respond to the feedback and just say thank you. Because then my sellers will know you showed up and you were in the house because they've watched you on their cameras anyway. And then it's just graceful. Because I think too often we forget that we're on display all the time. And then we don't talk to people and they think we're rude and awful because we didn't even respond to a freaking email. Come on. Come on. You don't have to tell them everything. And if you're my buyer, I am not going to give away all the details and say, oh, they loved it. We're totally bringing you an offer. I'll call you and say, "Hey, y'all have any offers?" Because, they may have some interest. I don't know what they're gonna do because I really don't know what they're gonna do. But to me, that's the only feedback I want, and I tell my sellers now because in Charlotte, I think we're getting about 30% response on feedback. It's atrocious. So I tell my sellers, "You're probably not gonna get a feedback response. I'm gonna try, but we probably won't get one. And if they don't reply, that just means they're not buying it. And if they do reply, then I'm gonna see if there's anything I can do to help them move forward. That's my job is to help them move forward." Oh, Patrick showed a property a few years ago that was eat up with termites and the listing agent was clueless. Well, bless the listing agent's heart. We will pray for them to get some knowledge. And that is actually a material fact. So you followed state law by telling them that they had some wood destroying insects because, we don't know if they were also powder post beetles or carpet ants. All right. So Patrick is asking the Plod app goes with the device. You have to have the device. I thought I was downloading an app too, and I wound up having to spend like 200 bucks on the device and it was worth it. Okay. You walked out with black ankles and the listing agent did not have the idea. Okay, so I'm glad you found Plod. Hey, drop the link over there, Patrick. They don't give me any discount for telling you all about it, but they totally should. Okay, so now let me answer the next one here, and I hope this is helpful to y'all so far. And this one was fantastic. So I'm going to absolutely call Gina's name out on this one because she said she would like help for the rest of the year with competent social media content that is not her in a bathtub. Gina, I don't even know you, friend, but I don't want to see you in a bathtub either because that was funny as heck and I love it. And that's because I'm medium aged and I don't do the TikTok. I mean, I'm on there, but I don't understand it. So here's what competent social media content looks like to me. It looks like you being yourself but also being professional and being helpful. If y'all know anything about me, you know that I want to be useful. Like that's my reason I'm here hanging out with y'all. I love being useful to people. And when I'm looking at my social media content, I want to convey that. So, how do I convey being useful through social media? Well, I can share helpful information. So, my Saturday downtown with Lee Brown little business spotlight where I'm looking for locally owned businesses, I think that's useful information. And it's me telling people, hey, I got my nails done over here. They were good. I buy cupcakes literally across the street from Lori. I love the sweet life so much. I've spotlighted her before. I guess I should spotlight her again because that was way back during the COVID scamdemic. And so when you think about the things that you can tell people, maybe it's community focused, maybe it's real estate focused. So this morning, y'all can go back and look. I did my market in a minute video, but we had legislative meetings in Raleigh for the North Carolina realtors this week. So I changed it up a little bit. That is content that really can be helpful. And actually, if you watch my Thursdays, the script is in the resources at the end of this. So if you hang tight to all the way to the end of the live stream, I'll give you some resource things. But the script for Market in a Minute is available. And then I just tweak it, right? So when you first use it, get your legs under you, your sea legs, get comfortable with it, and then start changing it up. I take requests from my online audience, like they ask me about what area that they're interested in. I'll use the data for there, or maybe it's related to the seasons or to anything like that. But my real estate content, if you ever notice, is kind of compact because I don't want to be all real estate all the time because that's not me. I am not just a realtor. Not that it's not important to be a realtor, but I'm also Lee Brown, the runner and the child of God and the believer of all things Jesus and the mom to Cora and Tim and the wife to Steve and the daughter of Cookie and Daryl and a daughter of the American Revolution. And so you start thinking about all the things in your life that could be interesting. Look, y'all, I got an email today from a lady who moved here. She wasn't my client. She just follows me online, I guess, like y'all do. So thank you. And however you found me the first time, you should totally tell me where you found me the very first time. But this lady said that by watching my videos, she got interested in the American Revolution and in genealogy. And so she started digging around and found out she's got several patriots in her genealogy and she'd like to join the Daughters of the American Revolution. And so I connected her to our chapter. And that's got nothing to do with my business, but it's such happy stuff that I can connect her in this community to the amazing women who are freaking genealogy geniuses. I mean, I'm learning so much from them. I found cousins I didn't know I had. And so you start realizing that the real you is the best social media content you have. And all you got to do is make little snippets and talk about things. And it'll be hard at first because you'll feel like, oh my gosh, people are going to judge me. And what if I don't know what to say? And what if I screw up? Nobody watches you at first. It'll take a little while before your social media content takes off because social media algorithms reward discipline and they reward consistency. So I will also tell you that thank you. Michelle has dropped into the comments over there. Y'all should say something nice to Michelle because she gets all these things set up so that we can make it happen. And she's the best at loving on you. And if you join our Catalyst cohort, you get to talk to Michelle even more. And I think she's better than I am. But here we are. She's dropped the resources link over there in the content chat box. So y'all can get that script for Market in a Minute and some other resources as we talk. Because, I always like to give y'all some free stuff. Okay. Now, let's see. How do I kick buyers off the fence? I don't kick buyers off the fence. Okay. I just got somebody under contract that's been looking for how long? Not one, not two, not three, but 4 years. And I couldn't kick them off the fence. You know why? Because it's not my money to spend. And I tell people that a lot. I'm like, look, it's not my money, not my house. However, I do you a disservice if I don't tell you the truth. And right now, she and I finally had a conversation about you can stay, you can keep renting, and that's okay, but you're paying somebody else's mortgage. But they wanted to hit a number that they wanted. Okay, so either something changes or you just keep renting. I don't make decisions for people. I don't kick them. I'll help them think through, but I want them to have the ownership because this particular couple is so smart. They're probably too smart to hang out with me, let's be honest, because they're thinking about everything really in depth and I do wish we as realtors thought a little more about the impact to people before we go kicking at them if they're sitting on fences. Now, I do want to point something out since you brought it up there. A person who did not provide a name was the one that asked that about kicking people off the fence. Probably because they knew Patrick would be here asking me to call people by name, but here we are. As you are doing real estate with buyers, I need to ask something of y'all as you go through the rest of 2026. And I need you to hear me on this because I'm going to have to keep hollering it until somebody listens. In real estate, we have an obligation to people. If you're going to be talking to them about option A and option B before you get them off the fence, before they do something, that we're helping them future cast in that home. A lot of real estate agents are tunnel vision into the transaction today, and they forget there's a 3, 5, 10-year impact. And we saw the pain of that from the people who had adjustable rate mortgages, and they were just screwed when everything went sideways and their wages didn't increase and they lost their houses. I think we're going to see a similar problem as we are looking at the impact of data centers on our country right now. And here's why I say that wherever data centers have gone in, they are really impacting the cost of utilities, the cost of electric power. Now, I don't care where you are on data centers. I mean, I do because I'm very against them. You should follow my Substack for that. Michelle can drop the link over here. You can read my very long expose that I did about data centers. I'm going to do a webinar on that for our RC soon and be in the member bundle. But regardless of where you sit on them, all right, because obviously a data center powers me doing a live stream for y'all. It's going to impact people's monthly out of pocket in their house. And if you have somebody thinking of buying and they're on the razor's edge of qualification and they're going to be squeezing to get in that house, I already don't feel good about that because I'm a mom. I just can't do it. I don't want somebody to eat ramen noodles and hot dogs and eggs, which is why I ate growing up. It was high protein. It was fine, but the chickens were different back then. But anyway, I don't want them to be trapped in the house. And if you let somebody, as a realtor, you let them get trapped in that house at the razor's edge of qualification, and then the data center triples the cost of their electric power and it goes from 100 a month to 300 a month. There are people who will be forced out of their homes. So as realtors, we have to talk to people about this and talk about something that could go into your content. You don't want to scare the crap out of people because I don't really want to scare people, but I want them to think, which is why I get a little intense. But we want them to realize there is an impact to your home from the industrial development going on. As your realtor, I want to talk to you about things that can hold you in that house long term. Now, they might say, well, I don't want to live near that thing. All right, cool. We can look anywhere you want to look, but I want you to always be thinking about PITUI. I've changed it to Patui because that's more fun than pity you. I think that sounds terrible. I don't want to pity you in a house. I want to Patui you in a house. So that's our not PITI anymore. If you're a Lee Brown person, we're now Patui's, PITUI. Okay. That was a ramble because that's what you logged in for here. Okay. A lot of y'all are talking about changing agencies, changing brokerages. So the first thing I will tell you when you're thinking about making 2026 the best end it could possibly be, changing brokerages to fix your business is not where you fix your business. Okay? You are the business. You are the micro entrepreneur. You are the 1099. You are the absolute key to what you're doing. The brokerage is the umbrella under which you operate. Okay. So I don't want you to confuse your business with your brokerage's business. The brokerage is a business and a brand with whom you choose to affiliate. So if you want to make a change because this umbrella doesn't work, that's one thing. If you want to make a change because this umbrella over here looks like a better umbrella, they're just umbrellas, and changing brokerages cost you money. It will cost you money in signs and lock boxes and in business cards, and even if the brokerage is gonna pay for that, and they'll take it out in your hide, I want you to know that there is a time cost to you because you're gonna have to update all your social media. You're gonna have to be the one that alerts all of your database, your clients and past clients, and all these other things. Of course, following state law and the code of ethics, you wouldn't do it in the wrong time frame, but there's a time cost to that and an energy cost because you're gonna have to get adjusted. So if that is a good investment because you want to be in a different umbrella, then here's what I would suggest. Somebody asked, should I go to somewhere smaller? Well, if the somewhere smaller would benefit the way that you build your business, of course. I love being a small brokerage. I can talk to my agents all the time, and some of them don't need me and some of them do. But I'm tiny. So here we are, and our brand is big, but our numbers are small. Some people have a small brand with big numbers, and maybe you want to ask them, how'd you get there? How can I be a part of that? How do I build my business under your brokerage? And I will say that to consider where you wanna land, I don't know that the answers are out there when it comes to which brand is going to survive because we're seeing such big, giant mergers and acquisitions. I don't know which one's gonna be the best long term. I know that me as a tiny independent, I've gotta have better relationships with other independents just because we're left out of the big mergers and acquisitions, and I'm okay with that. But you just gotta know for yourself where it's good. Every brand has good and bad brokers. Every firm has good and bad agents, and everyone has a good pros and cons list. So I totally have no answers for you on that. But if you're in the, greater Charlotte area and you wanna talk to me about one community, you can call me. Okay, so let's see. This person said, oh, this is a really good one. First of all, we'll start with her win where she said, things are slow for me now, but I started off strong. So I love that balancing mindset. Good job, friend. Now, somebody else here, she also said, it's hard to keep up with the next thing. AI, lead generation, social media, and so forth. I just now started my CRM and everything is time consuming. Okay. So you start by wiping out the whole list and picking the one thing. And you've read the book Big Rocks and Brian Tracy's Eat That Raw Frog. There's a million little business books about getting focused in. What I would say is start with the CRM because that's the foundation of your house. Everything else is upgrades. We're going to get the foundation fixed because you have to be able to do what I was fussing at y'all earlier, pick this up and start calling people. You can't call them if you're not organized. So what I would say is that if you in the business a short amount of time, fix it right now. And if you're an old person like me, don't try to eat the whole elephant at one time. Fix this year's data. Go back and get all these closings tightened up in your CRM. Then get 2025 tightened up, and then 24, and then 23, and then just keep going back as far as you can until your memory runs out. And then you're just going to have to keep patching it up as you go because your database is only as good as it is current and clean. Because there are agents who do have a very robust CRM and it's 30 years old, but they haven't gone through and called anybody in 30 years. So it's not saleable anyway. So you want to think about how you're building something that's sustainable. Now, once your CRM is built, and let's just say you went back 5 years and got everybody in there that bought or sold with you, and your friends from church, and your friends from pickleball, and your friends from high school. So you've got it cleaned up a little bit. You only need 100 to 150 good names in your CRM. So, first of all, you don't need 85,000. The number you're headed for is 150. That's called Dunbar's number, and that's the number of relationships that you can manage as a human being. So the 150 you want in there are really the good ones. And then as you're looking at these ideas, social media engagement, you want to engage with them because they're the most likely to remember your name. And then you could have the win that somebody had over here where they had somebody who hasn't sent them any business but has given their name out in the neighborhoods. They're just glad to be top of mind, and that's huge. So your CRM would do that if those 150 knew that you had just dropped a video about the impact of AI on rural water. So you might say, hey, y'all go check this out. You can keep up with 150 people. And then your lead generation is done because you're sharing your social media content with the right people. It's all chicken and egg. But if you try to do all this at one time, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to actually stop it. And that's going to have you fall off the uh, train track. The negative here, what do I do about clients putting cameras in all rooms? Well, put into your buyer consult. We know they're going to have cameras on us. Don't pick your nose. Don't use the bathroom. Don't talk to me till we get outside. And actually, let's get out to like 3 doors away now because I know as a runner, y'all know I like to run before daylight. There's a couple of houses that have little cameras that talk to you and it says, you are on camera. And I'm like, I just ran past your driveway. I'm not even in your driveway. But it reminds me as a realtor, I can't just talk to my clients in the driveway anymore because that stupid little device is big brothering us from the door. I got to get away from the house. It's in your buyer consultation, okay? You're going to have it in there that we know this is going on and we're going to keep our vault closed until we need it. And then on the seller side, you're going to have to get all long, bony mom finger of shame and say, y'all cut those cameras off because it's illegal to film somebody without their permission. And I know you want to know what they're saying in your house, and I get it, but don't do it because you're breaking the law. Scare them a little bit because they really shouldn't be videoing these people, y'all. It's not good. And I think it's hurting our transactions. Just going to say. Okay, and I got one more from a wonderful agent that I love sending referrals to. I'm just going to say it. Rhett Brown down in South Carolina. And she said, in the last 90 days, we've had 2 people waste agent time asking about a house and saying they're not working with an agent. Okay, so here's what I want you to know. When you are investigating how to work with buyers and sellers, when you're in the listing appointment, so think about what you can control. You cannot control other agents. You cannot control their professionalism or their business practices. So rest of 2026 and forever, let go of other agents. When they screw up where you can turn them in, turn them in. But in the meantime, control your business. In my listing appointments, I let my sellers know I may get a phone call from an unrepresented buyer who wants to represent themselves and have an attorney write it up. What do you want me to do with them, Mr. Seller? I can't check their finances because they won't give it to me and they won't let me have a driver's license. What do you want me to tell them? And my sellers be like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, look, if I can't know that they're financially qualified and see an ID so that I can do a forewarn on them because I love forewarn, best realtor benefit ever, then I don't know who I'm letting in your house. I want you to know that I take seriously who I let into your house. Have that conversation at the listing appointment. Get that in writing that you have permission to say no to a buyer who won't give you ID, phone number, and a some kind of financial letter, whether it's pre-approval or a proof of funds. Now, if they're lying to you about having an agent, I will tell you what I learned from Heidi Hines years ago, and she and I were in the same office. She was one of the top agents in Charlotte for a long time. She ran Highland Creek. Heidi's amazing. She lives in Tennessee now and runs an expansion team, and I just love her. Like, I learned this from Heidi years ago, and it still works. When somebody says, "Oh, hi, this is Bob, and I want to see your listing on Lighthouse." Fantastic, Bob. May I ask you a few questions? Bob's going to say yes. And I'll say, who's your agent? Don't ask them, are you working with an agent? Do you have an agency signed? Any of that. Don't be formal because they know to say to that. But I learned from Heidi, if you say, who's your agent? They don't have time to think of it and they will just spit out the name like, oh, that's your agent? I can call them with the MLS. No problem. I'll have them get it set up for you. That's fine. Oh, well, I don't have one. That's fantastic. My seller has alerted me that I cannot let somebody in the house without an agent unless I have their photo ID, their proof of funds, and I have verified their phone number. And if it costs my seller a showing, you know what it didn't cost them? Their security. If you're trading showings for security, you might be part of the problem. Okay, so I'm out of time. Oh, and I got to answer one question about the AI because I did mention that I'd like to use it sporadically. How do you suggest using it to support authenticity? Take out all the emojis for one, take out your M dashes for two. And the way that I look at it, I don't want AI to write from scratch. I don't mind loading my ideas into it and saying, hey, can you check my spelling, check my grammar, fix a couple of sentences here and there? But then I still have to double check it because it will change things. So it's very inauthentic. And frankly, I'm trusting it less and less because it's here we are. And let's see if there's anything else I have to answer with my last minute. Oh, how do I multiply myself to grow my business? Yeah, we talked about hiring earlier, but you might be looking at letting the technology multiply you, and it can, except that when you're that person who's answering questions on the phone. In fact, I was talking to a lead source today. So you know how we all get calls. They got a special lead for us, so get us all this business. And he was telling me that he would use AI to bring us pre-qualified business. And I could tell by talking to him before I gracefully told him that I wished him the best with other people. There is a belief out there that real estate is a commodity. If there's anything you need to remember as you finish out 2026 and beyond, this is not a commodity that you sell. You sell the experience of living in a house and what the house does for them. And so if you want to stay in authentic space, you got to remember that what you do, it can't be done by AI. And so why are you letting AI have your magic sauce? Stop that. Just stop. And you can use it a little bit if you need to. All right. So I got one last thing to tell y'all. If you have been wanting to be an instructor, an educator, or a speaker, just want to get your skills up, I've moved my annual speaker boot camp to online because of my schedule, frankly, in my life. It'll be online June 25th and 26th. There's your QR code. And if you were thinking of speaking at your state convention and you want to put something together and you want to talk to the old guard who thought I would have 15 minutes on the stage and it's wound up being 15 years, I'm glad to share with you everything I know. And that's coming up here at the end of June. But the most important thing I will tell you is thank you for showing up today. Thank you for showing up for your clients. Thank you for showing up for real estate. And would you just remember that you've made it this far? And when we make it this far, we're not going to fall apart tomorrow. And so for the person, I'll end on this one note. She said, I don't know if I should do my CE because I'm going to be probably rolling out of the business in the next 2 years and I'm just done. Real estate is this beautiful space that after you've built these relationships with people because of your ability to pour into them, what you'll find is that they keep trusting you even if you think you're retired. And my suggestion to people is always keep the license active because you want to be the referral connector, not because you necessarily need or want the money, but because you need and want the people that trust you to have a trusted relationship. That's why AI can't replace you because we can't trust the internet, but we can be trusted. To be the person who's super trustworthy, understand what you're selling is not the house, but what the house does for their lives. Go ahead and put that little boost into your content marketing. And most importantly, take care of yourselves. Make sure that you go get the resources that are in the chat link and then keep your calendars peeled because we'll have our annual kicktail coming up either at the end of 26 or the first couple days of 27 so that you can keep this train on the tracks. Thank you for coming to hang out with me. Hit the bell to subscribe for notifications. I'm probably going to go live next week on YouTube at night because I got something that I need to ramble about, and I can only do that live. So I will see you guys there. Tell a friend to come check us out and be good to yourself. Be good to your local association of realtors and don't let despair take you. Stay positive.